Very pleasant good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon rush with yours truly, Randolph Critchlow. I want to say thank you very much to those persons joining us internationally in the region and right here in Guyana. Thank you very much for being a part of this broadcast as we always do. This afternoon, we're going to be unpacking a number of things. Let's get it. Let's unpack, folks. Let's go. Let's go on the afternoon rush. Let's unpack. Welcome back as we are getting ready for the show, folks. We want to say thank you for joining us. Crime, corruption, and fraud. That's what we'll be talking about this afternoon. The PVP continues to show their true color. My name is Randolph Critchlow. Welcome. Let me just say hi to those persons who would have had a good weekend. We hope that you had a good weekend. As we will do in a bit, we will ask you to, of course, as we normally do here on the Afternoon Rush, say where you're joining us from. As we do that, we remind you that we want you to share the live stream. Let your friends and family know that the rush is on. So share that live stream right away because we have lots of unpacking to do today. We had a very interesting weekend, a number of developments, a number of things happening in and around Georgetown and Guyana. As a whole, and we want to unpack and give you the credible and valid information, as it were, right here on the rush. Well, so as we share the live stream, allow other persons to come in, let the numbers build up a bit, let your friends know that we are on. We're about to go and do some unpacking. And as you share the live stream, I will do the same. And let me just give a shout out to our good friend, who is doing great business. And we also want to play his video here and give him a little shout out as you share the live stream. The year is giving us a little issue there, but we want to say shout out to our friend Jamal Adams, his business here. Go support. Right. We're going to run back that video later down. But of course, Jamal Adam Sam the Letter Care. Check him out for all your needs there in terms of your shoes. Listen, I have some leather shoes I need to take to him so that we can get it done nice and shiny. But let's get into the show per se, folks. We want to say good afternoon, of course, to all of you. Let us know where you're joining us from. Our good friends, our faithful friends who watch our show every afternoon know what we're about to do now. We're about to give those shout outs to those locations that we're joining from. Our friends who are joining us on YouTube, thank you very much. You've been locked in long now waiting for the show to start. But good afternoon to all of you. Let's see where you're joining us from this afternoon as we go through the comments. From Illinois, thank you very much for joining. Brooklyn in the house. Trinidad and Tobago. Brooklyn, New York, Diamond, Nabakalis, all good friends on the East Coast, Nabakalis. Thank you very much for joining. Brooklyn, New York, That Village, that is West Coast Berbice. Thank you very much for joining us. Mike Coney, thank you very much for joining us in Georgia. Right, let's go. Just hit us up in the comment. Let us know where you're joining us from before we get 17, Canada, Trinidad and Tobago, Puerto Rico, NYC, Connecticut, Watching from Barbados, Suriname is in the house also. Thank you very much for being a part of the show this afternoon. Folks, as you know, we see Brooklyn there. You know I like to talk about my basketball before we get into the show. We get into the show. The playoffs are on. You know, my team that I'm backing, my favorite team for this year, the Utah Jazz. Tough loss last night, but we're going to bounce back. We're going to bounce back. Don't worry about it. Losing to the 8th seed Grizzlies, but we're going to bounce back. Florida, London, Belladrum, Brooklyn again in the house. We're a friend from Berbice, Perica, Parfait Harmony. Right? And all of our friends who are joining us on the YouTube channel, stay locked. Folks, let's get into it this afternoon. As I said, crime and corruption. That's what we'll be focusing today. That is what we will be focusing on today. The continued crime and corruption that we see in our country since August the 2nd. This PPP government, what can I say? It has been 295 days since this fraudulent administration would have been foisted on this nation. Foisted on this nation. We continue to deal with the impacts of that. We continue to deal with the fallout of being saddled with this fraudulent administration. So, you know, it is day by day. Daily we see what is happening. Daily we have to deal with it. But we're going to try and keep you up to date with what is happening on the opposition side and what we can do as Guyanese to keep these people accountable, keep their feet to the fire. That is what we need to continue to do, to understand what is it that we as citizens can do to ensure that we affect some sort of change in our society. Folks, COVID-19 is with us. It is real and it is continuing to ravage our country and the nation on a whole. On a whole, folks, COVID-19 is serious. Folks, we have seen 56 COVID deaths in the month of May so far. Today is the 24th. This is 24th of May, and we've seen 56 COVID-19 deaths so far. This is unacceptable for such a small population. What is happening in our country? What is happening in our country, folks? We need a bit more answers from the government as to what they're doing. I know their vaccination drive is on, and a part of that initiative, the leader of the opposition, along with Mr. Daniel Seram, regional chair from region number 4, they would have commenced a vaccination drive this was at Pleasant this past weekend. And I want to bring you a bit of what Mr. Seram would have shared there. But as you see, the leader of the opposition, just visiting the vaccination site there at the primary school in Pleasant. So I want to bring you that before, because we always start on these numbers, and the numbers keep climbing. The numbers keep climbing, and quite frankly, we have to do more to get more persons vaccinated. That is the reality of it. There are talks, of course, of school reopening in September. So in order for that to happen, we need to ensure that the majority of our population is vaccinated so that people will be safe. But folks, I want to bring you, since we're talking about that, a little bit of what happened out there on Sunday, I think it was. Saturday, sorry, or that vaccination outreach there. So let me see if I can bring that for you. I think we're having some difficulties, but that is what, see if I can bring that. Right. Right. Folks, we are sorry about that. I just realized that you weren't hearing what he was saying, so forgive us for that. We'll pull up back that video. I know you weren't hearing. Daniel Siram there talking about the vaccination drive. We'll see if we can pull the video up for you, because we want you to hear what he was saying in terms of that vaccination drive there. So we'll pull up the video. I know you weren't hearing what he was saying, so let's see if we can pull that video back up for you, so we can get an idea of what was being said there by Mr. Daniel Siram. Let's see if I can get that for you. All right, so just give us 1 second so we can pull that video up, folks. It is important that we get vaccinated. It is important that we get as many persons vaccinated as possible, because in the event that we have to reopen school, you know, that's
Hi Guyana, I'm Daniel Siram, Regional Chair number 4. And this morning we're here at the St. Paul's Primary School, and this is one of the outreaches that we are doing in Region 4 with regard to the COVID-19 vaccine and vaccination campaign. Just a week ago, my colleague and I, Amanda Walton, this year Member of Parliament, would have had an outreach with the residents of Pleasance and the industry areas also. And during that outreach, we would have heard that many of them would have not been vaccinated for want of more of these initiatives in the area. In less than a week, we were able to have this vaccination drive return to Pleasance. And this morning, we see quite a few persons would have come out very early to get their first vaccines and also their second dose to complete their full vaccination drive. At this point in time, I'd like to urge every Guyanese, every citizen, everywhere, as a matter of fact, to get vaccinated. The COVID-19 vaccines that we have here in Guyana, they do not prevent you from getting COVID. They do not cure you from getting COVID. And if you have the vaccine, you can contract COVID again. But however, what the vaccine does to you, it boosts your immune system. It helps you to have mild effects if you do contract COVID. And it basically lessens your chance of dying from COVID-19. At this point in time, we must be responsible and respectable to each other. We must ensure that we do the right thing and get vaccinated. We must bend the curve. As an advocate for stricter measures for COVID-19, I still say to persons that we must practice social distances, we must wash our hands, we must sanitize as much as possible, we must avoid crowds, we must avoid being in movement at any point in time. If you do not have a cause to be in or around the public, please do not be there. At this point in time, we have to bend this curve and we have to get to herd immunity. It will take 85% of the population for us to get there. And right now, we're right on track with Region 4 leading the way. And to all our supporters and to all Guyanese, please come out and get these vaccines. A lot more of these pop-up vaccination drives will be happening in and around the region, and we look forward to your support so we can get back outside. Thank you.
Mr. Daniel C. Ramday sharing a bit of information about that vaccination drive that they had at the St. Paul's Primary there in Pleasant this weekend. And plans for more of those to be happening around region number 4 is important. It is extremely important that we get vaccinated, folks. So, you know, and we can have conversations, folks. We can have conversations about how is it that we go about reopening the country, so to speak. I mean, school is still closed to the majority of students. And, you know, we have lamented on many occasions that this closure of schools is affecting a large percentage of our students who can't afford a device to attend the online classes, who can't afford internet to attend the online classes that schools are providing. You know, and as a teacher myself, I can attest to the fact that sometimes you are teaching an online class and you have 10 to 15 students out of a class of about 40 students, 30, 40. And so what is happening to those other 15 students? Where are they? Their parents may not be able to afford a device to let them come online. The parents may not be able to afford internet for them to come on and get the classes. So it is imperative. I believe that it's imperative that we have a structured approach to move back towards face-to-face learning with these students. And the vaccine is essential to that process. It's essential that persons get vaccinated so that we have a sense of safety sending our students back into this environment where they can learn. Because it's been over a year now. It has been over a year and persons and students are being disadvantaged. Students who do not have the resources to attend online classes are being disadvantaged. They are being deprived. They are being deprived by the fact of their economic situation. And it cannot continue. It simply cannot continue, right? So I've always been an advocate for a responsible reopening of school. Word being responsible. It needs to be done in a manner where parents feel comfortable that they can send their students back to school, right? Folks, let us move on. This afternoon, I want to introduce our segment called Crime Watch. Like we've been saying for many months now since this administration took over, we've seen an uptick in crime. We see the private sector coming out and saying the same thing. The Chamber of Commerce coming out and saying the same thing. The fraudulent vice president the other day in his 2.5-hour tirade that he calls a press conference said the same thing, that there is increasing crime. We see the police force in a whole bacchanal because they're holding back the crime report from the media people. So we've seen it. So what we want to do here, folks, is want to encourage persons to report. And I know that there are hundreds, probably thousands of other crimes that are not reported. So even those crime stats that are given out by the police force, they may be woefully underestimating the amount of crime happening in our country because people are so disenchanted with the Guyana police force. They feel as if going there is a waste of time and they wouldn't get any justice and nothing will be solved. So they just refuse to report any crime. Any little thing that happened to them, they don't necessarily go to the police station. And this is a trend that we have in our country. I am sure that there are persons that are looking at this broadcast right now, that some form of crime was committed on you, some sort of petty crime or something like this. Your house was broken and you were robbed and you never reported it. And you never reported it because of lack of trust that the police force can get anything done. So we're starting a segment called Crime Watch on this program. And what we will be doing on a daily basis is giving you an idea of the crimes that we see just in the newspapers, just in the media. And we will encourage persons, if something happens in your community, you have to report it. Even if you don't want to report it to the police and you feel as if it's a waste of time, message us. Let us know that this is happening in your community. Because when these things are exposed, that is when we get attention paid to it by those in high authority. So it's about bringing it to the fore. It's about bringing it to the fore. We will encourage you also to report every single incident of crime that happens. Every single incident of crime that happens, we want you to report. But let's get an idea of what happened, of those things we can find in the media over the last 24 hours. Right, folks. Crime Watch. Let us dig in right now. Let us dig in on this Crime Watch. Now, stay here. Where do we start? Where do we start? Let us start here. 27-year-old mechanic, resident of the Lodge, was beaten and robbed by two bandits in the vicinity of Movitown, East Coast, Demerara, last Saturday. This is what we're talking about. These are the incidents that we see happening over and over. Right? According to the Guyana Police Force, the victim was sitting on his motorcycle, which was parked at the Turkine East Highway Access Road in the vicinity of Movitown, when he was approached by two bandits who dismounted their BMX bicycle around 20-30 hours. The men were armed with cutlasses. According to the police, the bandits approached the victim and began to lash him with the cutlass about the body, causing him to receive injuries. The other bandit then snatched the victim's 10-penny-weight gold chain around his neck, and the bandit mounted their bicycles and rode off, making good with their escape. The chain was worth $50,000. What else has happened? Lone gunman, Better Hope. A Better Hope East Coast Demerara resident was held at gunpoint and robbed, or residents were held at the gunpoint and robbed of their cell phone, cash, and jewelry by a lone gunman on Saturday night. This weekend. Guyana Police Force in the statement said the robbery took place at around 22:15 hours on Saturday. The victims have been identified: 21-year-old woman and a 23-year-old housewife, and a 44-year-old fisherman, and a 45-year-old businesswoman. According to the police, the victims were in the yard when they noticed the man enter the yard through the gate. He ordered them to freeze. Apparently, he's the police. Ordered them to freeze while pointing the handgun in their direction. The victims complied, and he made off with a number of cell phone, $50,000, cash and jewelry and cell phone. Depressing. Depressing, I know. What else is happening? Robbery under arms involving a 26-year-old female security guard around midnight last night. Cooper Street, Pontrench. The woman's robbed her cell phone that valued at $40,000, a black haversack, and personal documents. She had $10,000 in cash, and the victim was walking east along Pontrench en route to her home when she passed the perpetrator sitting. She was approached by Cooper Street. The two perpetrators confronted her from behind at gunpoint and took her belongings. Folks, and it continues. It goes on and on and on. These are just incidents of all. These are incidents 24 hours or so. These are things that happened over the weekends. That made it into the newspapers. Right? This is not when you're reading things that happened 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. This is in the last 48 hours or so, and these are the ones that made it into the newspapers. These are not the ones that were reported at the station and nothing happened. We've continued to say to you that this sharp rise in crime is something concerning. Just read some more for you. Read the next one. Robbery on the arms occurred on Sunday around 20 hours in Friendship Quarantine Barbies involving a 57-year-old businessman and a 23-year-old female who were robbed. And the robbery was executed by 3 masked bandits armed with handgun. The couple were robbed of $550,000, 1 diamond ring, value $3,000 US, an iPhone, a number of other items. 30 registration for cars, tractors, and combine. The 3 gunmen relieved the victims of the stated articles and made their escape. Investigation is ongoing. What else has happened? What else happened? This is just last 24 hours, you know. Police are investigating alleged robbery of a 20-year-old teacher and the sexual assault of an 11-year-old girl from the Lethem area. The incident occurred this weekend. Bandits stole 1 black Samsung A10 cell phone, 1 black HP laptop. According to the reports, on Saturday, the victims secured their homes and went to bed. And about 3:35 hours in the morning on Sunday, the victims were awakened by a loud screaming. The 11-year-old sister was sleeping in the same room in separate bed. The woman said she saw the bandits run past or exit the door and made good their escape. Victim then made checks around the home and discovered these items were missing. Folks, this goes on and on and on and on. Every single day. As I said, the Chamber of Commerce came out the other day urging the police, urging Mr. Ben, who sits comfortably in Brickdam, not the lockups, but his office in Brickdam. And, you know, we see these things happening, and it's constant. It is like clockwork that you will see these things happening in Guyana. Folks, we are ticking closely, going closer to a crisis situation when it comes to crime in this country. And as I said, there are hundreds of these that are not reported. Hundreds. Additionally, there was a robbery in front of the U.S. Embassy in Guyana here. Robbery in front of the U.S. Embassy. Bright daylight, which caused the U.S. Embassy to issue another notice to persons traveling to their citizens traveling to Guyana about the crime situation. There's not much more we can say, but we can ask that the fraudulent Minister of Home Affairs, Public Security, who is responsible for public security, to help secure the citizens when they're in public and in private. When they're in their home, they lock your door and you're still not even secure. That's all we can do. We can ask the minister to do his job. And hopefully he does his job. But let us watch, folks. Let us watch. That was our crime watch for today, folks. We are hoping that this situation is remedied very quickly. Again, those incidents that we listed for you there, they were over the last 48 hours or so. And those are the ones that managed to make it into the newspapers. All around this country, people are being robbed, they're being beaten, it is out of hand at this point in time. And I implore, I suggest that the minister needs to do more. I suggest that the ministry needs to come out and tell Guyanese what is their plan, what is their plan. The Lion King the other day sat at this press conference, and the thing that he called a press conference, Jack Deal. Yap for 2.5 hours. Nobody get to ask no question. And when they ask the question, you get no proper answer to give them. But he said the APN, you get no plan, they had no plan. Well, you've been installed in government now for 295 days, and we still don't see a plan. We still don't see a plan to tackle the crime situation in the country. Where is your plan to tackle the crime situation in the country? That's what I want to know. That's what a lot of Guyanese are trying to find out right now. What are you doing about the crime situation? Let us move on, folks. I've been telling you for many days now that, for many weeks now, that there isn't the PPP seems to govern by this idea of the economics of corruption. And we have seen it in full view for the last 295 days. In full view for everyone to see. The economics of corruption. And that is what we're going to, our segment this afternoon. Economics of corruption. We'll deal with more corruption. All right. In our corruption watch this afternoon, folks, we continue to see it. We continue to see it daily. This is just another one. Today, breaking this afternoon. Guy was hit with a $29.8 million fraud. The money was transferred from the company account to a commercial bank to 2 persons in the US. But Guy never engaged on any issue. Folks, if this is not the economics of corruption that I've been talking about, I don't know what else is. What else is? If this is not the economics of corruption that I've been talking about. And you know, we can list these things out. We can talk about GPL and what is happening there. We can talk about the Guy Oil. Guy Oil seems like it's a very fertile place for corruption. A lot of under the table deals. Guywa. Let's bring it up again. This is what is happening, folks. This is what this fraudulent installed administration is lording over. This is what the people that they have put in these positions feel emboldened and empowered to do. Let me say it like that. This is what we've seen for 295 days. The corruption is ripe. We have seen it for 295 days that this is the modus operandi of this PPP administration. They know nothing else, folks. As we used to say, the same old tires come back. And what you expect to happen if you put back the old tires on the car? It will run just the same way it used to run when the old tires were there before. It's the people like Dindal, who's back at GPL. the people like Brassington and them who are all now involved in Ashley Singh, who are now all involved in managing the coffers. It is the same PPP. And folks, this isn't the first, and it will not be the last. It will not be the last of these you're seeing uncovered under this fraudulent administration. It will not be. Let me give you some details into this story. The Water company was informed by an unnamed bank that the amounts representing payments that were made via wire transfer in the name of 2 persons residing in the US of A. In the statement, Guile said that the fraud was unearthed by financial department doing the reconciliation of the accounts for the month of March. The first payment was transferred to Troy Robertson of Brooklyn Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, and the second payment was transferred to Dariana Mohammed of Pacific Street, Brooklyn, New York. More fraud, and we will keep our eyes on this particular story. But let me come back. Let me pull it back to the Ghayal story that we saw recently. Let me pull it back to the Ghayal story. One may wonder, what happened to those people who are involved in that Ghayal fuel scandal the other day? I wonder if the police force was called in. The other day in the press rant that the fraudulent vice president held, when he was asked about GPL, chairman of the board, approving sales of vehicles from a company that he manages, the vice president did gymnastics to try to defend what was happening there at GPL. Imagine that. There's blatant conflict of interest. Blatant conflict of interest. He doing backflips and twisting himself into a pretzel, trying to justify that blatant conflict of interest. Oh, it was an open tender and we need these business people to manage these things. This is a man that's sitting on the board of GPL. He is managing another company, using his influence at GPL to approve sales of vehicles from the company that he is managing. And this fraudulent vice president would sit at a press conference and try and justify that sort of corruption. But as I said, we cannot expect anything different. We should not expect anything different from the PPP. You know, you should want to expect the best of your elected leaders. But wait, oh, sorry. These fraudulent people who are running this country, they weren't elected. They were installed. So let me not go there. So I will not expect anything other than corruption from this PPP government. And things like these stories that you're seeing here, they will continue to be unearthed. They will continue to rear their heads. Because this is the administration that we're living under. Simply corrupt. Nothing else. Nothing else. Now, as we see this happening at Gaiwa, and we'll go, let me say this, that this will not be the last you hear of this particular story. We will dig deep into these stories, these corruption stories. You have to know what is happening with your money. You, as Guyanese citizens, have to know what is happening with your money, what this fraudulent administration is allowing to happen by putting these people who are known, have a proven track record of fraud and corruption in these positions. Let us move on. From one corrupt organization to another. Folks, GPL. As I said before, GPL is in a whole world of trouble on its own. First of all, you get a man managing that was sent off under the PPP for his incompetence and his inability to manage. Then you have a chairman who is involved in rank conflict of interest. Some would say it's corruption. We're not making any of this up, you know. These are things that are right in the public domain. You have a man who is a chair and approving sales from another company that he owns. Something is wrong with that. Whilst you have the workers on the pavement shouting and protesting for increase. Let us deal with GPL. What is happening here? Folks, residents and business owners in some East 𝐂𝐫𝐢𝐦𝐞 villages are being hard hit by power outages, which began Tuesday. And it's currently ongoing, folks. People in Linden have also complained about the power outages. What is happening, GPL? And let me say, this is one neighborhood. This is one community. But this is not a problem that is native to East 𝐂𝐫𝐢𝐦𝐞. This is not a problem that is native to one part of Guyana. It was Glenal who pointed it out recently in that video that, you know what? That GPL seems to be somehow magically not working now. From 2015 to 2020, you had significant improvement in the supply of electricity. Suddenly, that company seems to be in shambles. I wonder why. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that you put the same people that used to manage it under the PPP that were proven to be incompetent back there again. Maybe it has something to do with that. That's just a little hunch. That's a little, you know, maybe. Let's just put it up to that. A stab in the dark. And this is what we see. It was Glenal, for those persons who remember, who pointed it out. Who pointed it out. Now look, something has to be amiss here. Something has to be amiss. Because why it is that under the APNU AFC, it seems as though, you know what? The light was staying on. Folks, what can we see? What can we see? Let us move on. Those persons who now join us, we want to say thank you very much for being a part. Let us know where you're joining us from, as we did from the beginning. But let us know what you think about the issues. I want to read some of your comments, give you an opportunity to let your voices be heard on this program, on this wonderful Monday in Georgetown. And let us know, of course, on Wednesday is our Independence, and we want to have a very special program on Independence Day, so we'll let you know about that. Our Independence Day program. So stay tuned. Let's keep your ears peeled for what we have planned for Independence Day. Right? Just a bit of time check. We have about 15 minutes more remaining on the program. So I want to ensure that we get all that we want to get in today. Share the live stream if you're joining us now. Share the live stream. If you're joining us on Facebook, thank you very much. If you're joining us on YouTube, thank you very much. Remember, if you're on YouTube, remember to subscribe so you can get notifications whenever we're on. Folks, I think we have time for one more thing. Oh boy. Oh boy. And as we're talking about GPL, it's very fitting that we have this one more thing this afternoon. Let's get it.
Give me some folk song, let me sing something now.
one more thing this afternoon, folks. You know, and we're going to do two more things. We're not going to do one more this afternoon. We're going to actually do two more. And it's quite funny. And it's quite fitting that we were speaking about GPL just now. Because, you know, one more thing today, this afternoon, I want to share this picture with you. I want to share this particular picture. I want you, the viewers, to tell me what you really think about this picture. I want you to investigate the picture. Two pictures we have up there, actually. Not one, it's two. We have two pictures up here. I want you to investigate it. Peruse it. Peruse the picture. On the left there, we have, I think that is the junction of Main and Lamaha Street. We have the traffic light. I want you to notice what is happening there. The Guyana Power and Light Company, in their wisdom and the wisdom of those persons planting posts, they decided that, you know what, we are going to put this here, and the people who are dealing with the traffic light are going to come and move the traffic light and bring it in front of this post, because we really care this post got to go here. In the meantime, those persons, those road users, when they pull up to the traffic light, you know the song Everybody Peeping? The traffic light peeping at you. You peeping to see what the traffic light saying. Today's episode of Guyana is not a real place. GPL is not a real place either. The picture on the right looks like Lamaha Street. On the pavement. Again, GPL is not a real place. GPL is not a real place. Guyana can't be a real place. Look at the picture on the right. Because people who using the pavement gotta walk around. We're gonna put that little in the car now. You know, you gotta go in the middle of the pavement. You got to go in the middle of the pavement. Go push it off a little bit to the side so at least you don't take up, you know, the middle spot. The one on the left is the best. Just put the post in front of the traffic light, man. Because it's Guyana we living in. Anything goes. You know, there's a reggae song. Anything goes when you ride. This is anything goes right now. That is what happening. GPL nor Guyana is a real place. Folks, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say this afternoon. Y'all tell me. I mean, you, the viewers, tell me what is happening. What is happening? Y'all tell me. I don't know. Y'all come in the comments and tell me what is happening. That's what I want to know. I don't think we have one more thing. You know, we're dealing with one more thing this afternoon. We got one more. Hold on for it. Wait on it. Let me see if I can bring it for you. One more thing. If GPL wasn't enough, if GPL and the craziness wasn't enough, I got something better for you. I got something better for you. Why GPL? Now, we've had a number of issues in our country with COVID-19. I have a number of issues with people picking up people for breaking the curfew and, you know, a manner of other things. You know, we're still sharing in one more thing. But we saw this picture surface recently, and, you know, it's quite, I'm trying to explain it. I'm trying to figure out what is happening. Oh boy. But let me tell you what it is. We saw a picture with the fraudulent president and the fraudulent vice president fishing. Midnight fishing. Yes. In this segment of Guyana is not a real place. Guyana is not a real place. Only in Guyana, whatever you want to call it. Crime is out of control. COVID out of control. Food prices skyrocketing. People suffering. No? But these two guys fishing. I wonder if they catch any catfish. Because this catfish administration, this catfish president, who is obviously in a puppet capacity. And we'll deal with that. You know why? We'll deal with that. He's obviously in a puppet capacity. Because I want to, and we'll deal with that on tomorrow's show. The vice president, in his press conference, ranting the other day, at the end of the press conference, after he finished telling us about all the plans and the decisions that were made, said, I don't go to cabinet meeting. I go occasionally. But wait, if you don't go to cabinet meeting, we haven't had any cabinet press briefing, what really going on? How you telling us about what these things the cabinet's supposed to decide on? Because these are things that are supposed to be decided on by cabinet. But you ain't telling you come to tell us all of these lovely plans and decisions, but you don't go to cabinet meeting. So who really making these decisions? I want to know what they catch. Because obviously this country was catfished into believing that we can get a real president. Jesus. I am certain a couple of catfish get catch. Because this is what they specialize in. Catfishing the people of this country into believing that they know what they're doing, first of all. It's bare madness. It's a wash of confusion. Confusion powder. Confusion. The country in turmoil. All of those things are true that we list there. Crime is out of control. COVID out of control. Food prices skyrocketing. People suffering. You can't even figure out how to give people $25,000. But we going catfishing. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Folks, we ain't living in a real country, you know. I don't feel so. I don't feel so. Folks, that was one more thing for the day. I enable. I really enable. Let's continue. Let's continue to watch them. Watch this catfish, people. Fish on, people. Fish on.
Give me some folk song. Let me sing something now.
That was one more thing, folks. We encourage you to, as we said in our Crime Watch segment, report every single instance of crime. Report every single instance of crime that happens in your community. It happens to you. It happens to your relative, your friend. This is the only way we'll get a true picture of what is happening in this country so we can put pressure on these people. Report it. Right? Report it. And if something happens in your community, hit us up on Facebook. Let us know. Leave a message. Leave a message on our Facebook page. Let us know what is happening in your community so we can bring it to light. So we can say to the people, look, this is happening in this community. This is happening in here. Let us know what is happening, folks. Do not be quiet. Speak out. Speak out. Right. So as we're leaving the program, I'm getting a bit of breaking information. Breaking information here. Mr. Jonathan Yearwood on Monday resigned as the executive member, as an executive member of a new and united Guyana. Jonathan Yearwood over the failure of his party to hold long overdue internal elections. Mr. Yearwood said that he's also that he is also resigned because of ANOG's executive refusal to suspend Mr. Akini Blair, who's an executive embroiled in the fuel purchasing controversy while serving on the board of a state-owned Guyana oil company. So that's the breaking information that we're getting here. Those persons who know. Remember the Guyana scandal? Mr. Akini Blair was one of those fingered and named there. Right. Right. Guyana don't want the will of the people. Sorry, might say Guyana, not Guyana, ANOG. So ANUG, the ANOG party in turmoil. They want to hold internal elections. They want to get rid of the corrupt people. So Mr. Jonathan Yearwood, I know you may have remembered Jonathan Yearwood. Jonathan Yearwood was the man that was involved in that tussle at Elections Commission with one of the APNU AFC females. When he had to go to the police station and Jonas and them went and get you out. So this is what is happening. Mr. Akini Blair, who was one of them in the corruption in Guyana, the party want to get rid of he. They want to get rid of he. Was a PVP. This is it. He was a PVP person before. Joined ANOG. Get a job on Guyana chair, board. Get involved in this scandal. Mr. Yearwood say, look, you got to get rid of the man. They don't want to get rid of the man. They don't want to hold elections. Where is Mr. Timothy Jonas? In the beginning, Jonas. Mr. Timothy Jonas, this defender of democracy. What is happening with democracy in your own party? Where is the leader of ANOG? Where are they? Remember, these are people who are defenders of democracy? Now they are embroiled in their own corruption and scandal. We'll continue. We'll bring you more information on that story. That was just breaking there, and I will continue to update you on that. Mr. Sherry Duncan will deal with it in detail tonight at 8 in the ring. So look out for that. Look out for in the ring at 8. We are going to jump over now to building bridges with the Honorable Natasha Singh Lewis. Her show is on next, building bridges. And of course, join Sherry Duncan at 8. And then, of course, we'll be carrying Mark Benchcops straight up at 9. So a packed night for you here on AP and UAFC TV. Continue to stay focused, people. Continue to let us work for national development. Let's ensure that we do the things we need to do to protect our friends and family from COVID-19. And, you know, I probably join Sherrod a little later down tonight on the program as we unpack and help him unpack some of this same issue here, this late breaking news about Jonathan Yearwood and ANOG and the controversy, the scandalous controversies of these small parties, these subsets of the PVP that are now falling apart. You know, there's a book, Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart. It looks like things are falling apart with all of these subsets of the PVP. But folks, let's stay focused. Continue to work together for national development. My name is Randolph Critchlow. Do enjoy the rest of the evening. Join Natasha Singh Lewis right now on this same channel for Building Bridges. Thank you very much.